Hey, my fellow property managers, Marc at Grace Management. If your business is like mine, you're getting more and more calls from prospective owner clients who may say something like this. I'm not interested in having you fully manage my property, but I'm having trouble renting it. I manage it myself. So would you just find a tenant for me and I'll manage it myself? And historically, we as an industry, the property management industry, have kind of played with that idea. And we say, well, gosh, sure. I can help you out. I'll just do tenant placement services or lease-only services. And the thinking then is, that's what I do anyway. And then who knows, maybe sometime that owner will decide they want full service management and they'll come back to me. And it's a very acceptable way of doing business. And we've done that for many, many years, but we are no longer offering lease-only services. I'll share with you the reasons why. Now, first of all, to understand what lease-only is, it's that idea that you're not going to do full service management. All you're going to do is advertise the property, show the property, qualify an applicant. Once you qualify the applicant, you will sign the lease with them, typically collect the money, get everything signed, and then hand it back to the owner client for them to manage the property. So it's not full service. It's called lease only. It's called tenant placement. And if you offer that, I'm not saying to stop. I just want to offer you a couple suggestions and considerations because in our opinion, it's getting more complicated, riskier, and more difficult to offer that service only. And I'll share with you 4 reasons and 4 cautions to be aware of. So challenge number 1 is you don't control that property. If you're doing full service management of the property and you're showing a property and you walk in and the floor squeaks, something is broken, the faucet's leaking, you fix it. Well, when you're not managing the property, you have no control. You don't know who's coming and going. You can't get the front yard mowed when you need it mowed. You can't clean it or do touch-up cleaning or repair the broken lights. You can't do any of that because you don't control the property. You say, well, Marc, the owner's going to do that. I understand that. But you had better have very good communication with that owner client to say, hey, we were showing your property and the blinds are broken. We pulled the wand and the whole thing fell down. You got to get that fixed or else I'm not going to be able to get this thing rented. And they say, well, I'll get out there when I have time. Well, now you can't. Now you're wasting your time. How are you going to get it rented? So not having control of the property and the property repairs specifically, that's an absolute concern and a challenge if you're doing lease only. That's number 1. Number 2, the owner, by the very nature of them wanting to manage the property, is going to want to be more involved than most owners who are hiring you for full service management. So they may say things like this: I want you to just lease the property for me, but before you approve a tenant to move them in, I want some information on them. I want to see their credit report, which, as we all know, that is illegal under federal law. You may not share that with the owner of the property. And maybe they say, I want to meet the applicant. I'd like to meet them before they move in, and I want a bunch of information because after all, they're going to be my tenant. All I want you to do is find them, screen them, and then give me the information, maybe they say, and I will make the final decision. No, don't do that. That's how you're going to get yourself into a fair housing lawsuit because that owner, as good as they try to be, they may have incidentally not abided by all the fair housing rules that you and I have to abide by, but yet you're the one doing the leasing. It sucks you in and puts you almost in an unfair position if you're telling the owner client you're going to allow them to have involvement in this lease-only process. And by nature of them wanting to manage the property, they're going to be more involved. They're going to want feedback. They're going to want details of who's showing the property. So it's not a deal killer, but you need to be aware of it and you need to build your process to work through that aspect of things. Number 3, you have to ask yourself, are you speaking on behalf of the owner client? You're not going to be the property manager for that property. So when the tenant says things like, well, now, gosh, this lawn, do I need to do all my own lawn service? And you say, no, the owner said they're going to do fertilization because maybe the owner told you that. Or you're going to write that into the lease agreement. Because things that you may say incorrectly will come back to bite you because the owner may have told you something. What if the person coming in said, hey, I'll take this is great, but just to make you aware of it, like, I'm gonna need this wall painted because this is really bad. You'll say, yeah, no problem. We'll get that done. I'm sure the owner can get that done for you. Are you speaking on behalf of them? Because you're probably going to forget something. You've got to be cautious because these are the things that can come back to bite you if you're the middleman, but you have no authority to get the things done. The tenant's telling you things because they think you have authority, and the owner's telling you things because they're directing you to do things, and you're kind of stuck in the middle. And you're also trying to ensure that you're abiding by fair housing, and you're trying to make sure that you're leasing a property that is fully rent ready, and you're telling the tenant, yes, I promise we will get the broken toilet repaired. Mr. Owner, you got to fix the broken toilet. They say, that's not broken. You just jiggle the handle 17 times and then turn it to the left and it'll flush just fine. Tell the tenant that. Well, I kind of told him you'd fix it. Well, I'm not fixing it. You jiggle the handle. You can see pretty quickly how this could get very complicated and complex. But you've got to be very, very cautious, because are you the agent for the owner in this case, or are you doing a lease only, which leads into some paperwork aspect of things. Now, before I tell you challenge number 4, I want to thank the sponsor for this video, Citizen Home Solutions. Citizen works with utility transfers. We're just talking about getting things rented. Once we get it rented, we have to deal with one of the biggest headaches we all face as property managers, which is the transferring of utilities. That's where Citizen can come into play. They not only activate services for you, they will connect them and they will validate them. They can do it automated, online. They even have a phone number the tenant can call in, because we understand all utility companies are different. Wouldn't it be great if you could offload a big portion of the transferring, the monitoring of the utilities? That's what Citizen can do for you. Not only do they do it for you, they do it for free, and they will even have a rebate system in place where they will pay you for those portions that they've collected in things like cable setup, phone setup, security system setup. It is a great thing to offer a utility concierge service free of charge that you offer to all of your tenants. It's a win for your tenants, it's a win for your owners, it's a win for you. So we'll certainly link to them. The short is the pmcpartner.com. Go in, get the demo. I know these guys, we work with these guys, we love them. Get the demo, find out how they can help you streamline your utility transfer process for your tenancies. All right, challenge number 4. Is the owner okay with everything that's in your lease? Because you can't ask them what lease they want to use. You probably have requirements for your state that has to be in your lease. They have to agree to the terms of your lease whether they like it or not. And they may look at that lease and say, well, this is ridiculous. This says I've got to give the tenant 48 hours notice before I do an inspection. That's not acceptable. I want to be able to come in there with a 5-minute notice and I want to knock and get in there. And I don't like this clause and I don't like that clause and I want to do that. And you have to say, well, no. You can't go in and alter this. This is a legal document, owner, client. And same thing on the tenant side. So the owners have to understand that, hey, Mr. Owner, when I sign this lease, I'm going to give it to you. You're locked into the terms of this lease. You have to abide by all the terms and conditions on there. And if the owner doesn't like it, or if the tenant gets in a dispute down the road, who are they going to blame? They're both going to blame you. They're going to come back to you. And we didn't even talk about the fact that what if that tenant, 4 months in, stops paying the rent, or they start paying delinquent? That owner client's going to come back to you and say, what kind of tenant did you find me? This tenant moved in and they haven't paid rent and it's been 4 months. You say, well, gosh, I qualified them. They're going to say, I don't think you did. I don't think you qualified them at all. Or you wouldn't have given, I could have found a tenant like this. If I wanted someone who wasn't going to pay rent, I wouldn't need to pay you. I want my money back. Very tricky situation. So let me give you 2 final considerations if you're thinking of either starting or continuing to do lease-onlys. This is what we realized, that as our business continues to grow and expand, we have to become narrower and more focused on the services we offer to our owner clients. So we've done this for many, many years, but we have so many leads coming into our office for full service management that, based upon the challenges I just talked about, we made the business decision to say, you know what, we're no longer going to offer that service. It's too hard, it's too complicated, and it takes us away from our primary focus, which is full service property management. So when an owner calls now and says, hey, I want to manage it myself, will you just find me a tenant? I'm sorry, Mr. Owner, that is not a service that we provide. We are a full service property management company. That's just not something that we're able to offer. Just because you're doing property management doesn't mean you have to be all things to all people. Now, point number 2 is, if you're struggling for business, if you're saying, well, Mark, that's great, but I don't have that many leads. I would love to do a lease only because I'm just trying to pay the bills and I need more business. Then by all means, consider it. Consider it and do it, but be cautious. Even if you need the business, it's got to be a good scenario and a good fit for you. It's got to be a good quality property that is updated. It doesn't require you to tell the owner to repair a lot of things. It's got to be an understanding, workable owner. It's got to be someone who understands what your process is and agrees to those terms. So within those conditions, it can work. But proceed with caution on lease-onlys or tenant placement only. Hey, how can we help you? Jump on our website, pmbuild.com. We just opened up registration for our February Visit Grace event. Come on out to my office, spend 2 days with me. We're going to give you every piece of documentation we have, and you can see how we run the business end of the property management business. A true and candid look into the structure of how we operate our business. Jump on our website, PMBuild. You can see and register for that information. Look at everything else we have. We've got information on coaching, on systems, on process documentation you can purchase. Have you checked out our what am I saying here? What is this? Not our website, our podcast. Jump on our podcast, listen to it on there. But my friends, until next time, and as always, I wish you success.